Oh my god. Is it going to work this time? Okay, we'll see. Anyway, Advent here. I'm going to do a quick video on how to set up your Champions Online experience to be more palatable for those who are used to how City of Heroes looked. I've seen a lot of comments online, especially like Facebook, whatnots, and our old COH people pining over it still, which I don't blame them, but whatever. People say it looks too cartoony, that it just doesn't feel the same. Well, a lot of the problem with that is the crappy default settings from the game. If we go ahead and clean up some of the default settings, you'll notice that the game plays and looks a lot better. Anyway, some of it can be done right here from your character creation screen. Go ahead and go to Options. I usually bring up the interface a little bit. As you see, I already got it cranked up to 1.15, but you can change it based on however you want your screen, how big your screen is. I'm playing on like a 24-inch TV here, so whatever. That's just how I have mine set up. So your miles may vary. Quick tip for audio: you can go down here and choose a different media player. iTunes, Winamp. I'm pretty sure it does all the ones. If you have them installed, it'll pick it up. But you go ahead and make your changes there. I keep my overall volume kind of low, my FX volume cranked up pretty high, and the music volume I have it turned off because I don't really like the music. I didn't even really care for most of the COH music. Anyways, moving on, go to video. Now here's where it gets a little more complicated, but this is where you can see the most benefits. On the calibration screen, I usually keep mine a little bit brighter, around 1.5 or 1.15, where you can see just barely see the very visible. It makes things brighter and easier to see. Also on the video, you're going to come down here to your advanced settings, and you're going to get them as high as you can get them with your whatever system you're using. This is a pretty old game, so if you have even a system from the last few years, if you're running a video card, you can crank your settings up pretty high. I leave my dynamic lighting on, lighting quality high, shadows in medium, and then as many as at least 4. Sometimes I run 5 depending on how I want it to look, but at least 4 lights per object gives better detail. Things are easier to see and everything looks less cartoony. Coming down to world quality, crank the texture up to at least 1.25, and you're going to want your character detail to at least 150%. Excuse me. The distance basically shows how, or makes things farther away render faster, and you're same with your character. Yeah, I usually run everything at least 125%. It makes it look a lot better in the long run. Show high detailed objects, that's just a personal thing. Max debris, I usually run it pretty low, usually around 10, just because I don't like stuff strewn all over the battle space, so to speak. It just keeps less things that the computer has to render. Alright, now here's where it gets good. You're going to want to turn your bloom quality down to low and decrease your bloom intensity. I'd say don't run it any higher than 80, but I usually run mine at 70. And that'll keep everything from washing out, and you'll actually see better detail on effects if your bloom quality is a little bit lower. And here's the biggest kicker for how the game looks. The comic style outlining. Turn that off. That'll make it so you don't get the goofy lines going around the character. Sometimes it seems randomly, but I'll show you here what it looks like when we actually make a character. I turn my underwater view off and leave the cinematic focus on. Reflection quality, I usually just run low, and lens flare low, because that's just how I run mine. We're going to apply that. Okay, now we're going to make a character. Now the other problem with Champions from City of Heroes is the proportions of the default characters are just all kinds of jackered up. So we're going to want to go ahead and change these things to make the character look more make it look more like the COH characters. And it's not that hard. It's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to select random powers here. I guess we'll just go electric. Alrighty, and who knows? Maybe I'll play this guy, so I'll just choose the build I always use there. And of course, if you choose an AT, that's all done for you anyways. Alrighty. Now, as you see, the arms and hands on these guys are absolutely huge, and you get a better sense of that when you put them into the average stance. Yeah, look. People just aren't built like this, and it doesn't look anything like the old City of Heroes default settings. So we're going to change it up a little bit. The quickest way to do that is you see the hands are gigantic. I mean, the hands are like twice the size of his head. So we're going to crank down the hand size a little bit right here. Makes him a little narrower. And the hand length can make it a little more normal size. And now we're going to change the arm length to match. And right here. So right about there. So already you can see it looks a lot more like a real person, even without the gigantic, comic book proportions. And as I said, it's easy to change all this. You can go ahead and bring down, make them look a lot similar to what your COH tunes would look like, with just a little bit of tuning here on the scales. So yeah, you see already looks a lot less goofy, a little more realistic settings. There's plenty of things you can change on here to get it to how you want it. The other big one is the feet. The feet are gigantic on these things. So whatever. Anyways, you just go ahead and change the feet and legs, hands, feet, legs, arms. Just the basic stuff right there, and it's already looking a lot better, a lot more like normal. But the last thing to do is when you scale in, or you see the face sliders, you see how gigantic the eyes are. I get the big anime looking eyes here, and that's again easy to change. Just crank them down a little bit, and then you can just adjust them where you want them. Up, down, left, right, whatever. There we go. So again, it doesn't take too much to change up these settings and make the character look a lot better, a lot less cartoony right off the bat. Now, the other thing we're going to get into is basic settings to make it easier to play. I'm just going to show you, I have a bunch of stuff on here, but I think I'm just going to show you two things right off the bat to make it more City of Heroes like. I'm about to get all kinds of rewards and whatnot. Anyways, go to options by clicking on the little C right here. Options, controls. Now you see where it says Champions Default. Now you're going to want to change it to like superhero games. You'll never guess what game this is almost exactly like. That's right, City of Heroes. So now, once you have that, now all of your controls will work exactly like they did on COH. Oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? Okay, there we go. Now that's on. You can push down on the scroll button, move it around. All the controls will be exactly the same. Everything will move a lot similar, and it'll feel a lot closer to what COH was. Now, for the game itself, one of the major things you need to change is here on controls. See where it says toggle change cancels? Go ahead and bring that down to toggle non-combat cancels. That's going to help you out so much in the long run. Another thing is only attack. Where is that here? Sorry, one second. Yeah, it says face. Here we go. Face off-screen attacks on attack on. Turn that off. This allows you to move and shoot and attack at the same time without it snapping back to your whoever is attacking you or to whatever direction you have selected. So you're actually able to move independent on where the character is focused. That makes combat a lot easier, and it's also how COH was if you had it set up like that, which I think that was the default. Let's see here. A couple more personal things. For controls, we're going to take camera shake off because that's just annoying and it just makes it look and feel a lot better. So that's your basic setup, basic changes right there. The last thing is your chat bar. You can change basically everything about the chat. You can change pretty easily. You want to go ahead and go to options. I take my profanity filter off and I show the message category, and I also show name, source, and autocomplete. So as you can see, it brings up the category and tells you who's talking and so on. So there you go. This is just the basics on how to do this. I'm sorry this video took so long. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to show you what it looks like with that goofy ass comic outlining. You see, there's our character with no outlining. And if I turn the outlining on, it really adds to the cartooniness. You see how a line just appear and it's all over everything now. If I go up to other people, they'll have all this goofy lining all over them. And I said, just turn that off, and that alone really helps out with making it look more or less cartoony, less goofy. So, hope this video helps, and sorry it took so long. And I said it's my third try getting this video made, and I finally got it right. Well, stay safe, y'all, and have fun.